Morning from the shop. Dave again here. Uh, I do obviously have the channel all established, so I've been sitting and thinking, so what are some of the things that I have been interested in seeing what other folks are doing, and is that something that I want to do? First of all, I have no illusions about getting 10,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers, getting sponsorships or any of the rest of that stuff. I'm just doing this more because it's been my experience in the 73 years that I've been on this planet, uh, talking to individuals who have had elderly parents, uh, relatives who have spent a lot of time journaling. And as they've gotten older and the parents tip out of the canoe and the kids or the grandkids start going through the journals and talking about, oh, granddad did this, grandma did that. And I didn't realize this about my dad or grandpa or whatever. Those things get done through reading people's journals. Well, I'm not much of a journaler. In fact, I've never really done anything writing about. Well, I shouldn't say anything. I haven't done much about writing about my past and careers, time in the service, those kinds of things. So I thought maybe I'd put something out on video, save it for posterity, and I don't know, maybe teach people something in the process as well. So that's why I started the whole channel thing. And just because I have always had a history of trying different things, and this is just another one of those things. Is it going to go anywhere? Don't know. Guess I don't really care. Don't have any real specific plans about that other than I got to figure more stuff out, and I'll get to that. But in the process of learning that, I'm going to continue to come out in the shop, and because that's what I do and what makes me happy. So that's why I set up this whole channel, and maybe you find it interesting, maybe you don't. If there's something that you do want to see relative to making boxes or pieces of equipment in the shop, let me know. I'll put something together as best I can and see if I can satisfy that need or help you learn something. But today I want to talk about wood as a medium for expression, art, maybe you want to call it that, craftsmanship, or just kind of in general. It actually pertains a lot to houses as well. Wood moves. Wood's an alive object. It's not like steel where once you cut it, the only thing steel is going to do is rust if you don't protect it. Wood's going to move. Wood's going to move dependent on humidity, mostly. I said it before, my shop is heated. It's an in-floor heat, so my feet are nice and warm all the time, and that's really great. And I love it. It was probably one of the best decisions I made relative to doing something in the house, on the house. Uh, so it's in-floor heat. There's no humidity, no nothing. The humidity today here in the shop is 13%, 37% in the house. That depends a lot on the weather and how much the furnace runs. And we have a humidifier. It's attached to the furnace that kicks in every time the furnace goes on. Humidity is a good thing. But wood does move. Here in the summertime in Minnesota, when humidity gets to 60, 70%, and sometimes even higher, that wood is going to expand. And it will expand in two different directions, horizontally, or I'll call it against the grain. If you got a board and the grain runs this direction, it will expand this way, horizontally, much more so than it does in a vertical or with the grain. It will expand some, but not near as much as against the grain. And when I put the hardwood floors in the house, part of the process of installing is cutting all the sheetrock around the base of the walls up so that the wall can slide underneath. You don't put it underneath, you put it level with the walls, plumb with the walls. That's where the edge of the outside boards go. And that allows that floor to expand and contract. So when I did that, I put a mark on a couple of spots, one in the living room and one in the kitchen, opposite ends of the house, opposite sides of the house. I put a mark with a pencil because I wanted to see how much that actually moves. And the house is 26 feet wide. And it surprises me that that wood actually moves in total width 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch. Now, 3/4 of an inch doesn't seem like a lot when you're driving in a car, uh, but when you're talking about 3/4 of an inch of movement in a floor, that if I hadn't planned on that to begin with, that would have been flush against the sheetrock or flush against the stud walls. That 3/4 of an inch has got to go someplace. It's going to expand, and what happens then is the floor buckles in spots. And it'll only buckle during the summertime when it's humid, and in the wintertime, when there's much less humidity, it'll flatten out and be nice. Now, conversely, when I put the floor in was in the summertime, and it was more humid than in the wintertime. What happens is that in the wintertime, less humidity, it actually contracts. So there are times when there are gaps. Sometimes each board is going to contract, and sometimes at a different rate than the one next to it. So sometimes that leaves little cracks and seams in between the boards of the floor. Not a big deal, just one of those things. So as I think about humidity and wood being alive, and with relative to the house, I think about that with my boxes. This wood is going to move, and it's going to expand and contract. Right now, with 13% humidity, it's as tight as it's going to get. Wood doesn't get much less moisture content than about 13%, 12%. Even kiln dried stuff comes out of the kiln at like 12% humidity. And that's about perfect, because there's no sense getting it any drier, because it's just going to absorb moisture when it gets out into any kind of humidity. So 12% is pretty pretty tight with wood. So as I'm building my boxes, I have to think about that. Now, this is a box that has a slide in top, and it slides into a groove. It's bare wood on the tongue. It's bare wood on the groove. So when it gets humid, both of those are going to expand. The tongue is going to get thicker. The gap is going to get smaller. So I have to think about that. And when I glue pieces of wood together, especially different species of wood, more dense, not going to move as much. Less dense, softer wood, it's going to expand more. So what happens is that glue can only hold for so long before it finally cracks, breaks, call it what you will, and that separates. So I think about those kinds of things. I don't ruminate over it. I just go, oh, well, it's going to do what it's going to do. And if somebody comes back and says, hey, the box that you made, the top cracked, what can I do? And I'll say, just wait. And when it gets more humid, it'll actually contract and close the gap. I haven't had anybody tell me that. It's not been my experience, but it is just something that I think about. And folks who made big trunks, there are boards on the inside that they put on to kind of hold those pieces together. I don't have any of those. And because I don't use any mechanical fasteners, all the boxes that I've made, the only mechanical fasteners I use are the hinges. I don't put any nails in them, though I will admit to putting some pin nails in the bottoms of some of these new boxes, not all of them, just because it made it easier during the assembly process. So other than that, I've not used any mechanical fasteners. It's all been done with glue. And speaking of glue, I do want to talk specifically about the different kinds of glue that are available, different kinds of glue that I use and why I use them. But that's a topic of a whole nother video. That might be of interest to you, because there are times when we've all needed to glue some pieces, whether it's fixing a piece of furniture or what have you. So I'll do a whole separate video on glue. So, but this one, I just wanted to talk very briefly again about wood and the fact that it is alive, it is going to move, and it's it's moving in the house. You hear your house creak and moan and snap and pop in the wintertime when the furnace is running. It's because of the movement. New houses are famous for having nail pops. Uh, we call them nail pops. Right now they're, I'm sure, using all screws to fasten your sheetrock. It's going to do the same thing regardless as that wood moves, and you're going to get that dimple or a little bump in your sheetrock. Not much you can do about it. It's the way of the world. So that's it for today. Unless I decide later on I want to talk more specifically about glue. I appreciate you hanging around today. Again, if there's anything you want to see, you want to know, you want to talk about, let me know. Happy to do it, or at least make an attempt. And I'm good enough to where if I don't know the answer to one of the questions, I'll tell you a story and you'll believe it. So enjoy your day. We'll talk to you again soon.